Hi first graders, welcome back. I hope you guys have had a great week and I hope you're ready for Feelings Friday. Just like every Feelings Friday, we're going to start off by singing our feelings song. It goes a little something like this. I have feelings, you do too. Let's all sing about a few. I am happy, I am sad, I am scared and I am mad. I have feelings, you do too. We just sang about a few. So I went ahead and added our word of the day, our feeling of the day, to our feelings word wall. Today we're going to talk about the feeling hurt. We're going to talk about how it feels to be hurt and what happens when we hurt other people and what we can do to make that right. So before we read our story, I want to share this poem with you. Keep it in your mind while we're reading because we're going to come back to it at the end. It says, when you speak, be kind, be smart. It's hard to fix a wrinkled heart. Today's story is called Seeds and Trees by Brandon Walden. In the lands of the king lived a special young prince who loved climbing trees and playing with friends. He lived in a castle overlooking the sea. He played in a field with his two kinds of trees. He carried a satchel slung low on his waist to contain all the seeds he might want to exchange. Each seed was a word that someone had spoken. Each seed was collected, a trinket, a token. It didn't quite matter from where it had come. A stranger, a friend, a whispered made up. He rose every morning to water the seeds from each of the words he'd already received. When someone spoke nicely, not anything mean, they'd hand him a seed whose true essence was green. But sometimes the seeds would come bringing pain, seeds of dark color whose trees produced shame. Several dark seeds grew quickly, then withered. Others remained to grow slowly, unhindered. At the end of each day, he'd admire the seeds and go plant the new ones and play in his trees. The trunks and the branches of dark trees were laden with thistles and thorns, causing pain when he scaled them. Climbing these trunks and these branches was tricky. Each part of the tree that he grasped was quite prickly. Each time the prince climbed, he was bruised and was slit. Yet trees are for climbing, so through pain he'd persist. Each time he climbed up his trees, clothed in green, he felt safe and healed, and those trees weren't mean. His green trees were strong. They welcomed his touch. Their branches grew fruit he could eat or could clutch. He could sit at the base or climb to its peak. He could rest in the branches or play hide and seek. As years passed, he noticed his green trees were weakening. The trunks at the base of the trees needed strengthening. Now the soil had hardened as life was escaping. Their canopies were covered, his dark trees had shaded them. He would plant his green seeds and dark seeds beside. Then they'd war with each other and try to survive. His green trees were strongest with plenty of light, but his dark trees grew stronger in the darkness of night. They shared the same water and sunlight to grow, but the dark trees were hiding the fruit that would show. The green trees caused life, joy, and peace to grow near, but the dark seeds killed soil, grew trees clothed in fear. The field the prince planted had started to show many trees of two kinds and the fruit they had grown. The fruit fell like seeds to the soil down below, filled with seeds to be gathered or given to sow. The young prince grew strong and became a young man. He continued to plant the seeds placed in his hand. He invited some friends to come and play in his trees, but some liked to play in his trees from dark seeds. He had one special friend who always spoke true. Her words filled with grace, as good friends always do. She never spoke harshly and never spoke lies. She always spoke gently, with loving replies. She always gave green seeds and never took back. She never ran out. There was never a lack. Her satchel was filled to the brim, overflowing with green seeds, not dark seeds, each one for the sowing. She watched the prince till, plant, and water his grove. She watched and she waited until asked to go. One day the prince said, "Hey friend, come along." She humbly agreed and began singing a song. To the grove, we will look down below, at the roots in the soil and the trees that have grown. We will care for the green trees and even plant more seeds, but your dark trees will fall as the new life is sown. As he walked into his field with his friend by his side, the young prince took note as his trees came alive. Green trees swayed now to the sound of her tune, but the dark trees stood stiff, clenching their fists, and seemed rude. After long years of planting and watering seeds, they'd grown into mighty and powerful trees. The prince reminisced as he entered the grove. He thought back to each tree and the seed that was sown. He admired the beauty the green seeds created, but noticed at the roots they were slightly ill-fated. His friend came prepared and brought tools along. The prince hadn't noticed, but his friend was quite strong. The roots that she carried were weathered and humbled. The tools that she carried were weathered and humbled. A pickaxe, a saw, and a rusty old shovel. The friend asked the prince to please pick out a tree, one causing pain that he'd rather not see. The prince pointed to one skinny, dark mass. The friend asked, "Watch this." Then she took out her axe. With one mighty swing, the tree fell to the ground. Then his friend dug her shovel deep and deeply down. The root had to die and be plucked from the dirt. The green seed was planted and covered with earth. The prince then exclaimed, "Can you cut down more trees?" His friend said, "Oh yes, I have plenty of seeds." Many dark roots had tunneled so deep that it took them a while to dig underneath. Dark roots wrapped close round the green everywhere, so the friend showed the prince how to tend them with care. Her tools came in handy, the axe, the saw, the shovel, and others the friend had brought here to the struggle. Then came the day when his forest was green. Not a dark tree had been spotted. Not any were mean. The friend then surprised the grown prince with some gifts, some tools for his daily new watering shifts. She instructed the prince not to plant the dark seeds, but to go to the cliff and cast them out to sea. The prince held the green seeds, and those were all saved, but he tossed the dark seeds off the cliff to the waves. Then he traveled to new fields abounding with trees, making sure that he packed his old satchel with seeds. To the grove, we will look down below, at the roots in the soil and the trees that have grown. We will care for the green trees and even plant more seeds, but the dark trees will fall as this new life is sown. The end. Alrighty, so let's talk a little bit about what just happened in seeds in trees. In the beginning of the book, it said that the seeds came from the words that people spoke. It says, each seed was a word that someone had spoken. So it seems like some people spoke kind words that made the green trees, and some people spoke mean words that made the dark trees. At the end of the book, the friend and the prince had to do lots of work with tools and axes. They had to dig and dig and dig to get rid of all the mean trees, all of the ones that were spoken with unkind words. And at the end of the book, he was finally able to have nothing but green trees. So in the future, when people gave him the dark seeds or spoke unkind words, he just threw them away into the waves. So for today, we're going to do a little activity that we're going to do all together. So I want you to take 1 second to go find a plain piece of paper. Any kind of paper will do. It actually doesn't have to be plain. It could be an old written sheet that nobody's going to use anymore, or an envelope from the mail, even a receipt, anything at all. But you must ask a grown-up before you take a piece of paper to be sure it isn't important and doesn't belong to someone. So let's take a couple minutes, go find a piece of paper, and I'll meet you right back here. Alrighty, so you have your piece of paper. I'm going to use my big heart. Your piece of paper, you're going to pretend is a heart. So let's think about that poem again. When you speak, be kind, be smart. It's hard to fix a wrinkled heart. So just like the dark seeds in our story, we're going to think about times that people have been unkind to us. I'll start, and then you'll do it on your own. So let me think of when someone was unkind to me. Oh, I remember one. When I was in 3rd grade, I got what I thought was a really cool haircut. I got my hair cut really short and couldn't wait to get to school to show it off. But when I got there, someone said it looked ugly and everyone started to laugh. That hurt my heart. It was not kind. So now that I've thought of something unkind, I'm going to fold my paper. Fold it however you want. Make sure it's got a nice crease in it. So now we're going to take a few minutes to think about times when people have been unkind to you. Every time you think of a new time that someone's been unkind, fold your heart or your paper again. So I'm going to sit here and think of maybe one time someone wouldn't let me play with them, or said a mean word to me, or maybe pushed me on the playground, or my little brother took my toy, anything at all. So let's take a minute, think of something unkind that someone has done to you, and fold. You can press pause here if you're not quite done thinking and not quite done folding. But when you unpause, we'll move on from there. Welcome back if you've paused. If not, let's keep working. So now that we have our paper all folded up, we're going to unfold it. So in the story, they had to dig deep to get rid of all the roots before they could plant the new kind trees. So we're going to do the same. We're going to think of one time that someone did something kind for us. Each time you think of something kind someone's done for you, go ahead and unfold your paper just a little bit each time. So my thing that someone did kind for me actually happened this week. I know we've been away from each other and it can be a little bit stressful, and I had a friend that knew I wasn't feeling my best, and she sent me a very sweet text message saying all these kind things about me. She said a lot of things that she liked and why she cared for me. So I'm going to think of it and unfold my heart. So let's take our minute to ourselves, be thinking of kind things that people have done for us. Again, if you need to pause to catch up to this part, go ahead and do it. If you're done, press and pause, or we're moving right along. Let's continue. So let's take a look at our heart. Does our heart look the same as it did before? We talked about the unkind things that made marks on our heart, but I thought we made it right when we did. Sorry, we talked about unkind things that made marks on our heart, but I thought as we talked about the kind things, we would make it right. But no, our heart does not look the same. So what this shows us is that when you say unkind things, it leaves a mark on someone's heart that doesn't go away for a very long time. Even when you try to undo it with kind words, there's still a mark that stays there, and it might take a lot of kindness to get rid of the mark on that person's heart. So let's think about our poem again. When you speak, be kind, be smart. It's hard to fix a wrinkled heart. So that's your challenge for this weekend. 2 parts to the challenge. You can do both or one. Take your pick. Challenge number 1 is when you go to speak this weekend, before you talk, think, is this going to wrinkle someone's heart? Say your little sister comes in and takes your toy from you, and you don't want to give it back. Rather than yell at her, think, is this going to help unwrinkle her heart, or is this going to make her heart wrinkled? If it's something that makes her heart wrinkled, don't do it. Think of a better way to handle it. The second part of the challenge is, if you know that you've wrinkled someone's heart, maybe you already did speak unkind to your sister, or maybe you spoke to your mother out of frustration and used angry words, or maybe there was someone else that you did something unkind to. I want to challenge you to go to that person and do what you can to unwrinkle their heart. You can say, I'm sorry, and then give them a compliment. You can say, I'm very sorry I didn't share my toys with you. I should have, because I love you. Or you can go to your mother and say, I'm really sorry I spoke unkind when I felt frustrated. I'm going to do what I can to make that right. I won't speak to you with anything less than kindness for the rest of the week. So that's your challenge today. We're going to focus on when we speak, be kind, be smart. It's hard to fix a wrinkled heart. I hope you guys enjoyed our story, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And don't forget, we'll be right back here Monday, so I'll see you guys soon. Bye!